And hello and welcome. As ever, it's telling me I'm live. As ever, it's telling me there's a bad quality of the stream. But if we all push and blow in the right direction, it might just work. So I'm waiting confirmation from my trusty colleague here. And he's looking concerned. But we've got to wait 30 seconds so that he can hear me. So if you're there, say hello to me in the chat. I am available in the chat. Oh, I'm getting positive vibes. So I'll say hello in the chat. And if you are there, say hello back to me. Say hello back to me. Before I share our running order, which is somewhere about, which is always good to know. So I can see that there are folks there. So do say hello. We have a plan for tonight. It's a new year. So we're going to be talking about productivity. But fear not if you are an Affinityite, because I've got an Affinity demo as well. In fact, unbeknownst to Mike, I've managed to sneak two in. He knows about one, didn't know about the other. Good evening, people. Let me zoom in here so I can. The old eyes aren't what they were. Good evening, Patrick. Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Rubber Stamp Rosie. I'm liking that name. I'm liking that. Hello, Abdul. Paul, I trust you've got a drink there in Spain. We have apologies from Graham. Unfortunately, as we've always said, listening to MacBites, even the after hours, in fact, particularly the after hours, stressful business, and his mum had a fall, so he's looking after her, sends his apologies. So if he catches up later, hello, Graham. So I'll say hello to Graham, who's doing his duty. Right, I'm going to get this. What should happen? Let's see if we can get it all sorted out. What should happen is that you will briefly see my desktop. Then, which is blue, then you will see poster that you've just seen. Let's try that. Marvellous. And then you'll see the running order for tonight. So let me know when you can see that. Oh, Wales. Very nice. Good evening, Carl. We went to Wales in February, didn't we? Shall I tell them what you did? Never lived it down, this. We went to, and do heartily forgive my pronunciation, I'm not sure if it's Bodlewellen or Bodlewydden, but it was the castle in North Wales anyway. And didn't end well. Mike shot me. Which I would say sounds worse than it was, but I remember the shrapnel being pulled out, and it's not. It was not worse than it sounded. We went on the archery shooting. Luckily, he didn't shoot me with that. And then we went on the pellet thing. What they called? So what's it? Rifles? Pellet guns, yes. Tell you what, though, they hurt you when they hit you. It wasn't intentional. It was his best shot ever. It was the only time he's actually hit the target, ricocheted off straight into my shoulder. So if you've heard MacBites, you'll know that sad, sorry tale. But that's my memory of Wales. But apparently we're going back. So I'm hoping that next time my visit to Wales is less eventful.
I'm going to finish the job next.
You're going to finish the job? Thank you for that. Thank you. Paul's got a body. Right, we are 1 minute off the right time to be getting going.
Shall we countdown like New Year?
No, let's not. I got stuck outside. Do you know that happens every year? That happens every year. Went out to let the new year in and got collared by the neighbour. So by the time I got in, I nearly missed the fireworks. And it happened last year and it happened the year before.
Send me out. Give her a kiss.
Oh, no, I'm not risking that. You might never come back.
Like your father.
That was it. He went out for New Year. We saw him at Easter. Oh, too good, too good. Oh, Bodlewellan's just down the road. You probably heard the scream then, Patrick. It's a beautiful place. We loved it.
Hospital just down the road.
Well, yeah, on the way, we instead of turning left, we turned right, and we ended up at this hospital. And I said, "Oh, look, it's a hospital. That's not the right place." Came in handy later, though, I can tell you, and it's very close. I've given you the right evil here, aren't I? Still love you, though. You're a lucky boy.
I am.
Right, so plan for tonight, seeing as though it's now 9 o'clock. Right, we are the week at MacBites headquarters. That isn't going to take long because we've been on holiday and we've done very little. We did fireworks. We've looked after a dog. We used to have a lovely Samoyed dog, and one of our neighbours has got one. Well, she's a neighbour from a few streets away, but she's very generous in sharing her dog when she's at work. So we've had a visitor today, and we've had a ball, an absolute ball. She got clothes for Christmas, did the dog, and she looked very snazzy in them. Oh, and a toy. We bought her a toy, which she brought back with the head missing. So typical Samoyed. If you know a Samoyed, you'll know what we mean. So when we've briefly gone over that, which that's pretty much about our week, isn't it? What else did we do? Stuff ourselves with Christmas leftovers, get back on the old diet, and that was about it.
That was it.
Yeah, I'm hungry. Did I mention that?
Well, when we've finished...
Oh, we can have something to eat. We will go and get something to eat. No, not an Eccles cake. No, because Graham's not here. No. So we're going to steer off the Eccles cakes in Graham's honour. But then we're looking at working productively. Hello, Abdul, South African. Well, good to have you with us. Then we're going to look at working productively in 2019 because we have high hopes as ever. Usually ends in complete calamity.
I'm saying nothing.
But I have high hopes this year because we've put in a few systems. Mike's going to show you his booking system. So it's a time blocking system. And I'm going to show you 3 things, 2 very related. Weekly agenda and monthly index. And if you use Notion, you'll be thrilled. If you don't use Notion, you need to check Notion out because it's amazing. Then I'm lifting the veil. We are talking sneak peek of all time, how we actually plan the podcast, which is MacBites, the podcast, not MacBites After Hours. But it's been the bane of our life for about 12 years, hasn't it?
It has.
Of how to get it done in conjunction with everything else that we do. So that's what we'll be looking at in there. Then we've got the Affinity Adventure of the Week, which is Affinity Designer. Oh, pancakes, fresh cream jam. Oh, Carl, I'm liking that idea. Now, we have to make a very special pancake mix because we're gluten-free. So it's tricky, and Mum was fabulous. But
they sell it in Tesco's.
I know, but you've still got to sort of do magic kitchen things with it. I know you can do magic kitchen things, and now I've seen that, I think we need pancakes. Yeah. So we might have to go out later. Oh, you're tempting me. The lot of you're terrible.
24-hour Tesco's.
We do actually have a 24-hour. We've got 3 24-hour Tesco's within a couple of miles.
We've got 3 Apple stores as well.
We do, which I got told, but that's another story. So our Affinity Adventure of the Week's Affinity Designer, and it's going to be looking at depth. Now, it's much sexier than it sounds, honestly.
I had one of those last week.
A white Toblerone. Yes. I love white Toblerone.
Do you?
Well, I love white chocolate.
You don't like Toblerone?
No, Toblerone's that kind of stuff like walnuts. You only have it at Christmas. Are those the Toblerone ones with the big gaps in now?
Yes.
Yeah,
because
they don't look the same, do they? No, they won't take my iPad, so I lost interest.
But it was a massive
one. We are a wonderful international bunch, aren't we? That white chocolatey spready stuff. Oh, you lot are terrible. You're terrible to me.
I wish I hadn't gone back to healthy eating now.
We overdid it at Christmas, though. Christmas was overdone in fine MacBites fashion, I can assure you. Now, in the unboxing, I've got 2 things. One was a necessity. It was a need. Where's Jane? Need, want. So I'll unbox that. But I've also got an amazing thing. Apple have sent... I've got a new toy from Apple. And I'm going to unbox it. Should I tell them what it is?
No, don't spoil the surprise.
The surprise is not in the right way. Yeah, well, I've got a box from Apple and I'll be unboxing it. That's all I'm saying. But don't get excited. I'll leave it at don't get excited. Right, so that's the plan for tonight. So good to have you guys along with us live. And if you're watching on the video later, hello. So can we just say a very, 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 very Happy New Year to you?
Happy New Year.
Oh, please don't sing. Oh, no, honey and almonds. Now, I only like almonds if they're grilled. And you introduced me to those.
I did.
You did. And I said, no, I don't think so, because they're all chewy. And you gave me one. It's like, oh, it was good.
Ship to Costco, I think.
We don't go to Costco for nuts, because they ship them by the barrel.
We've got nuts. It's
not like one packet of nuts from Costco.
Nuts. I just forgot to get almonds. Anyway, if we go to Costco, we can get iTunes vouchers.
We do. We buy iTunes vouchers from Costco, so we could sell lots there. Anyway, that was our week. We've been getting ready for work. Boo! We actually like what we do, though, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, we just like times when we're not doing it. But we've been doing after hours, so that's been great. So let us know in the chat what you guys have been doing. Got any nice new kit for Christmas? Toys, software, hardware? We need to know. We need to know that. So I can see the chat as this is going on. And we'll head into our first demo, which is this working productively. So can I start this by saying, you know, all these productive to-do things?
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat what you use. Because I've tried virtually every one. And none of them work. Sorry about that, Paul. can I just make a suggestion with that? Serious suggestion. I noticed, I haven't looked at mine yet, but I noticed they had one for sale. And I looked at one of the pictures and they've got it stood on a standard camera tripod, which gave me food for thought. Because we don't have a TV, but we do have a rather nice blank wall in the new extension. So, thinking, Fire TV stick, projector, tripod, telly. Mike's looking less than impressed. There is stuff on Fire TV.
Is there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
What?
The Killing. That's been one I've been watching. So, yes, there's good stuff on there. So, try that, Paul. Have a look underneath it. Does it take a standard camera tripod? So, back to what I was saying. Let me know what you use for productivity. I started years ago with paper. And you know what? It worked.
Still there.
Oh, you're still there. Yeah. There's a difference between the back of a fag packet, though, isn't there? And something that was a beautiful system. And mine was a beautiful system. I'm liking that, Carl. New iPad and a pencil. What colour? What colour was the iPad? I have been known to go for white, but my latest is an 11-inch black one. And yours has always been black. Oh, did you have white? You did. You had an iPad Air 2 in white.
I did.
You did. You followed me. You look lost then. Like, I don't remember that.
I don't.
But you did. You did. That's sounding fabulous. So what we need for that is more demos on Affinity stuff for iPad. I shall make a note of that. I will. No, my paper system worked. My paper system was a Filofax, circa university years, and it worked brilliantly. And it's been downhill ever since once I got it onto computer. Starfish.
Starfish.
Do you remember Starfish?
Yeah.
Sidekick?
Yeah.
It literally looked like a Filofax.
Oh.
And again, that was probably the best thing digital I've ever had. So what do you use for your to-dos? I have been known to bother OmniFocus and things. We've tried Wunderlist. They didn't have Space Grey. Who on earth has bought them all? Mind you, the silver ones do look fabby. I've got, mine is my first 12.9 was white. And I've got two 9.7s that are white.
And I've got a plastic MacBook that's white.
Oh, yes. Least said about that plastic MacBook, the best. It never worked. It never worked from day one. So, I've said things, OmniFocus, Wunderlist. I'm not going to reel the rest off because there's been hundreds, but literally hundreds. So what we've decided to do this year is actually take a look at what we want. That's the problem, Paul. And I wish I'd only spent 40 quid. I've got 3 versions of OmniFocus for 2 different platforms, and now they want a subscription. This could possibly have been why we've looked around and we've decided to go for something different. So stay with us. You never know. You might pick something up.
I think I gave up on Omni before I started.
Your problem was you thought you might lose something. And I knew that I wouldn't. But I was concerned that I may temporarily lose track of it. I didn't know they were all white, black on the front, just different on the back.
I didn't.
So, actually, I've not been in the store. I'm clearly letting him on the side down here.
I can see where Paul's coming from with this.
What? That's exactly my problem. And it wasn't flexible enough. And I've literally just said to Mike, imagine that you've got a task, and I'll show you this task when I show you my system, and I'll explain why it was a problem. But something incredibly simple that I just want reminding of on the 8th of January. And it was, what context is it? What project is it? Oh, I'll have to make a project for that. So that was the problem that we've approached. Now, Mike's gone complicated as ever. Yeah. But you've simplified it in a way, if we look at it like that.
Yeah.
So Mike's, you've got the, right, Mike's going first, and his is time blocking in terms of, instead of being flexible and saying any time on a certain day, block time into time blocks and flog them off, basically. Yeah. And it works. So let's go and have a look at that. Right. So you need remote desktop.
You didn't have it right?
No, not a thing. Well, we get there in the end. Just a minute. Unless, of course, it won't connect, in which case my name will be Mud, and that'll be the end of that. But I'm confident you should be seeing my desktop at the moment, and eventually it's awake, so hopefully we'll see Mike. If not, it'll be a very short demo. Right. Yay! Let's bring it over here. Right. So this is Mike's machine.
Okay.
Oh, it jumped. Let's put it in the middle.
Right.
There we go.
Should we turn the microphone around a bit?
We can. That's as near as we can
Right.
get.
Okay. What I'm going to do is show you one of the ways that I've got more productive and saved myself hours of admin time. And it's nothing to do with OmniFocus, and it's nothing to do with things, and it's nothing to do with any of these other productivity apps that we've just been talking about. I deliver online training, mainly Excel, and I do this on behalf of a number of training companies. Now, most of these training companies are based in the US, and the duration of the training that I do is usually 60 minutes or 90 minutes. So what I do is I offer 2 time slots, 1 p.m. US Eastern and 3 p.m. US Eastern. And I do that for a couple of reasons. One, those are the times that are favoured by these companies. And the other thing is that equates to 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. UK evenings. And that fits in with my other commitments, because this training I'm talking about is actually a second job for me. I have a day job, and this is what I do in the evenings. I started in November 2015. A couple of people contacted me via LinkedIn, and I just assumed that it would be a couple of sessions a month. So I didn't put any effort into creating a system. It was just they send me an email, we agree on a topic, we agree on a price, I stick it in my calendar, they send me the details to deliver the training, and that's it. I didn't put any thought into creating a system. So as I say, email comes in, they ask me for some dates, they ask me what, can I run a pivot tables course in February? I look at my calendar, I see when I'm free, I give them a few dates, we agree a date and time, and then I just add the details in. But as time went on, I got contacted by more and more companies, and I got more and more requests for training. If we take last year, for example, I averaged about 12 sessions a month, and I sometimes do 2 in a night. So you can see how it's grown over the last 3 years. And although I was grateful for the work, I was drowning in admin. I was still checking my calendar manually, and I was manually adding bookings to it. But now I added more admin to the process. I'd created an Excel file, and the main purpose of that really was to track payments. So when a booking came in, I was adding it to the calendar, and I was manually adding the details to the Excel file. And then when the training had been delivered, I had to manually cut and paste the record to another sheet. Let me actually show you. I've got what I've done, because I've deleted the old file, because now I've got the new system, which I'll show you shortly. I've just recreated the old system. I'm actually using up-to-date data. So here's my schedule sheet, and these are training sessions that I've got upcoming. That's the date, the time, that's the company who I'm working for, and that's the title. And then when a session has taken place, I'll cut and paste it onto this delivered sheet here. What I then did is I then introduced another sheet. So you can see how sort of manual and time consuming that would be. But I then added in an availability sheet. So green means I'm free and red means I'm booked. And I thought that would save me trawling through the calendar when I'm asked for availability. Problem with that is it's not automated. So when I add a booking to the calendar, I then had to manually update Excel. If training got rescheduled or cancelled, I had to manually update Excel. And no wonder I made mistakes. I actually double booked myself on a couple of occasions, which isn't great. So late last year, I decided to do something about this, about cutting down on the admin. All our websites, and I know we talked about our websites a couple of shows ago, all our websites run on WordPress. That's the underlying platform for managing content. So I decided to research WordPress booking system plugins. There's actually quite a few of them to choose from. The one that I picked is called Weber Booking. So if any of you are in the market for some kind of booking system. I don't know what jobs you all do, but if any of you do any sort of freelance work, for example, it doesn't have to be like I do, IT training. It could be some kind of coaching. It could be hairdressing. It could be handyman. Sorry?
Carry on.
Did you say something?
I'm making my own entertainment. Do carry on.
It could be dog grooming.
Oh, yeah, now you're talking.
There we go, yes. Why don't you say loud what you were to say?
Dog sitting.
Dog sitting.
Yes.
Basically anything where you need to block time off, then as I'll show you, this works really well. So I picked this one called Weber Booking, and it cost me $69, which actually is a bargain for what it gives me. It adds booking functionality to a WordPress-driven website. So what I'll do is I'll open up a web browser. I can actually do it here in my Windows VM. I think that's the link.
If it's not, that's your other part-time job.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Book Time with Mag. I basically built a page on the website and embedded a shortcode which has the booking form on it. Okay, so what I would do is, and either I can do this, or if a customer wants to book time with me, they can do this as well. They can go to this page and they can actually fill in this form. But quite often I fill it in myself, which, okay, that takes me a few minutes, but it's certainly quicker than what I was doing before. So let's say somebody contacts me and they want me to run a 60-minute session. I'll choose 60 minutes. And then I can choose the date. Now, what it does is it connects through to my Google Calendar, and it only shows me the dates that are free. I've configured it not to show weekends or not to make weekends available. There are certain other days that I don't want to be available, so I've marked those off as non-working days. So let's say, for example, the 8th. Which is next Tuesday. You'll notice the 7th was unavailable because we got something on Monday night, so I can't run any sessions then. Or if both time slots have been taken up, then that would be grayed out. And I'm free at 8 o'clock UK time on the 8th, so that's the date that has been agreed with the customer. So I'll click on book, and then I will fill in the company name.
MacBites.
Okay, I'll put MacBites in.
We'll book you.
You'll book me. Okay. MacBites UK at gmail.com. And then I select a webinar. So I've predefined this list of webinars, and I can easily change that list if necessary if I had new ones.
Paul likes pivot tables.
Paul likes pivot tables.
Yes. So I think in honour of Paul, it should be a pivot table.
Okay. There we go. Let's do a pivot tables part 1. And at this point, I will click on book. So it's now booked that. So MacBites should now get an email to confirm.
Oh, right.
That will come in at some point.
Give me a second.
There
yes,
we go.
In.
My watch has just buzzed.
So did mine.
You can now see that the 8th of January is now unavailable totally. Now, if I go to my calendar, which I can do, if I just minimize that, somewhere I've got my calendar. Come on. There we go. There's my calendar. What I've done is I've deselected all the calendars I've got apart from my one called Availability, which is a Google Calendar. And if I refresh that, just keep your eye on the 8th, Tuesday the 8th. There's currently one. There we go. There's the second training course. And you can see, if we look at the details, it's empty webinar. So that tells both Elaine and I, because it's a shared calendar, that I've got a webinar. And it's picked up the title from the booking system, and it's picked up MacBites from the name of the customer. So basically everything that you put into that appointment is configurable, but that is saving me a lot of time, a lot of cross-checking, and it's avoiding duplication. If I need to edit or delete that that booking, so if MacBites comes along and says, actually, we can't run the session on the 8th, or if I came along and said, I can't run the session on the 8th, then I can delete or edit that from the back end of WordPress. Now, if I can get back to my, where has it gone? I want to get back to my virtual machine.
Just minimize that.
Minimize that. There we go. There's my virtual machine in the background. Okay. What I have done now is I've created a new spreadsheet, and this one is fully automated. Now, to understand how this is working, you need to understand that WordPress is a database-driven system. When you actually look at a page on a WordPress-based site, you're actually looking at content that's stored in a database. And when the plugin is installed, this Weber plugin I was talking about, it creates a table in the WordPress database on the site. And when the form is submitted, the information, so the name of the customer, the name of the course, that is stored in this database. And what this spreadsheet does is it connects directly to the database. So all I've done is I've opened the Excel spreadsheet. It connects automatically to the database, which is stored on a web server, and it pulls in the new information. So you can see, without me having to do anything at all, it's now showing me the details of that that booking there. Also, if I go to webinars delivered, this will show me all the webinars that have been delivered. My availability is automatically updated, so I don't need to do anything with that. And I can also generate an invoice. So I've got basically a Word template, which is laid out as an invoice. I can select a row and I can click Create Invoice. And what it will do is it will take the information that's on that row. It will also take the amount that I've earned from that webinar, which I've stuck in a hidden column. And it will create an invoice automatically, which I can then email out. So that is something that I've built earlier, late last year, and I'm still tinkering around with it a little bit, but it is saving me a lot of admin time. So for me, that is making me a lot more productive. It's allowing me to focus on the things that I want to do, which is learn new things about Excel and deliver training on Excel, and not have to focus on all the admin and not have to pay someone else to do the admin either. So that's it.
I think that is a good idea and a good example, because if you were looking at that in terms of OmniFocus or whatever, you'd be making lists of things you need to do and then frantically trying to do them. Whereas what you've built means you don't have to think about what needs doing, because you've automated what needs doing. It's dealt with. It's done.
Yeah.
I think that is pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Okay.
Right, do you want to swap back to me?
I'll swap back to you. Yes.
Ooh.
You take the keyboard.
I'll take the keyboard, I'll take the mouse, and let's lose that Windows box, because that's freaking me out as well.
I'll go and check the chat.
Right, okay, so let's get back in here and have a look what I was talking about. Right, I was saying that for me, the system that worked best for me my entire life was a paper-bound filofax when I was at university. The first system that worked for me was a week to a view diary. Had that for 2 years, then moved over to the filofax. It got me through university, got me through my masters, everything was fine. And then I thought, if the filofax works, how much better would it be if I had a bigger filofax? Then it didn't work, then it fell over. After that, I then went digital. And what I've tried to do lately, and in talking with you guys in the chat, I see you've gone the same way I have. You've tried every known to-do list manager known to mankind. And there's always quirks, and you feel that you're bending your workflow to work the way it wants to work. So what I've done in relation to that is scrap the lot. And I've gone back to where I was many moons ago and thought, what worked and why did it work? And I came up with a weekly agenda and a monthly index. So I'll show you both. If I'm honest, sneak peek or a spoiler, the monthly index does tend to work better, but I am working on the weekly agenda. So I'll show you both, and then we'll have a look at another system as well. So I'm going to go into, what have you done with my keyboard? I think I could be in your machine, so I'm going to show you.
My machine. Get off my machine.
I'm on Mike's lawn. I'm pressing keys and it's going the other way. Right.
Are you out of my machine?
I'm out of your machine and I'm going my own way now, dear. Sure. So I'm going into Notion, all right, but I'm not going into MacBites, but that is a MacBites that's on the way, an on the way MacBites. That's it. I think you're reacting if you've got a list of tasks and you're so busy managing the list of tasks that you're not taking the time and thinking, do you know what? Is there a way to automate it? Do all these tasks need doing? Is there a different way that I could go? And that's what I did. And I'm doing it in Notion, but it doesn't matter. You could do this in a spreadsheet, give or take. So what I've done is, this is my live system. So I won't take you through the whole lot. We'll be there forever. But at the top of Notion, and Notion, we have talked about it a little bit. If you are absolutely clueless, it's quite difficult to describe. But if you've ever seen Trello or Asana or anything with a Kanban system, it's like that. People are pushing it as an Evernote replacement, which it's not. So it's not a notes app. I think of it as a platform, a sort of limitless notebook of blank canvases that I can put stuff in. And there's a range of stuff I can put in there. So this is what I've built with it. I can have pages, headers, subheaders, databases, Kanban boards. And what I've done is I've used it as a platform to build my own. Right, so I've got my future log. If anybody uses bullet journaling methodology, you'll know what that is. But basically, it's a list of things I need to do in the future that I want off my mind, but I don't want to think about them right now. And the backlog is things that may or may not need doing. I haven't made my mind up yet, and I need those off my mind. So I put them in there as well. I then have a page which is for today. And I've got January and December. And these are my favourites. These are the things I'm in a lot. So eventually December will drop off the end. Then I have shows, which are the MacBite shows, which we'll be going into. Let's have a sneak peek. There's the shows. There's the shows table. So you can see you can put tables in. But you're not limited to working with tables. And you build this. It's up to you. So if there's none of this, it doesn't work quite right, and I can't get it into a context. If you don't want to use a context, don't use it. Okay. Then there's the next MacBites, which is 115, and tonight's show. That is the page that we use to manage tonight's show. So if I click on it, you can see it's in progress, and we really are in progress. We are actually live now. And both of us are working on it. We don't have any content items in it, but there's a reason for that. And the titles, we have a cunning plan because it's 2019 and we have a cunning plan to get organised. There's the show art for the show, which I can click on and actually see. And I can upload that to here. I've got a release date. That's today. Don't know how long it's going to be yet. Depends how much we chat. But I do have a show notes URL and I do have a URL for the show. And that's in there. And I can just click on it and go to it. As we go down, you can actually embed the video in here. And if I press play, this would be so meta. We'd watch myself 30 seconds ago. So let's do that. As I press play, it's time travel, isn't it? It's saying I'm live and I can watch that in my to-do system. I'll let you think about that for a second. How meta is that? It's amazing. It is scary. Oh dear, we don't want to see whatever that is. So we'll get past that. The next thing I've got here is a YouTube block. And this is a code block. And it enables me to just click copy to clipboard. Now I can paste it in wherever I need. And that link there is a link to my live control room. So that's just a page. And it's got everything in it that we need to prep the show, run the show, etc. So those are my favourites. Then I have workspaces. All of these are shared with Mike. These are the jobs we do together. Then I have private stuff down here, which is the stuff I do on my own. So Mike would have an inbox and Mike would have ways to manage the stuff that he uses. I've created a demo page down here. Demo page. And what I've done on here is replicate my system so I can show you. So this is completely independent. It's not based on, although I've got it in Notion, Notion doesn't determine what it needs to look like or how it functions. I build it using Notion as a platform. So it's not to anybody else's. What was that? A cat in a sink? I've no idea what that was. We'll have to have a look when we come to it. But the first two things I'm going to have a look at are these two pages that I've built. So these are demos, but one of them is an exact copy of my real one. Right, that one there, which is my weekly agenda. So all I did to create this was think, go back to that paper thing. How did it work? Well, it was a week. It was a week, and it just had in it, you know, a space for Monday, a space for Tuesday, and it all just worked. It also had a space to put notes in it and things like that. So what I did was I went back in time mentally and thought, what was it about that worked? Let's replicate that. And that's what I've done. So my first job is to look at the 3 goals for my week. And the first one is to reclaim the house from Christmas. We've still got 2 7-foot Christmas trees up with about 27,000 lights on. More tinsel than you can shake a stick at, and about 3,000 cards stuck to various parts of the walls. So I did put down the goal was to put the Christmas trees away, because that's a task. The goal is to do all of it, to de-Christmas the house. So that's that goal. My next goal is need to create a new course. Luckily, I'm halfway there with that. Otherwise, that would be a massive job. Moving along to the tasks. These are tasks that are to be scheduled. I've not seen a task management app on computer that enables me to have unscheduled tasks. I'd have to have a project called Unscheduled Tasks and put them in there. You would have to bend to it, right? I'm seeing a question, is this cross-platform? I should have mentioned it's actually a web-based service. So it's Windows, it's Mac, it's Linux, it's whatever you want. It runs in a browser. There are applications to run it with, and I'm using one of those. But it's got, yes, there is an Android app as well. And you can use it in a browser on any platform too. It is filofaxy, and I'm quite happy with that. So let me just do that, because that's what it should actually look like. And I'll take you through it, and then I'll take you through what you can do with it and why I've done it the way I've done it. So my tasks to be scheduled are, well, you need to record a MacBites, but I can't do that till I've prepped it. And we keep changing our mind what we're going to put in it. I can't schedule the editing until I've done the recording, and I haven't scheduled that, so you can see where we're going with this. But I know that those tasks need to be done, and they need to be seriously considered this week. So I park them in the task area I've built up here. So this goals area, so I'm moving across there like that. Let me get that on. You can see my cursor better. That area there is a column, and the area for the tasks is a column. So they live next to each other. But I can actually carry on putting items down here, and it doesn't start wrapping back into the goals. They are totally separate. So as I'm deleting, moving backwards, and getting rid of all of those. Right. The next thing I have moving down is the Kanban board. So we've talked about Trello. Somebody mentioned Trello. Trello, Asana, ZenKit. Work on a Kanban principle. A Kanban board is like a corkboard with columns on it, and you pin cards to it. Now, for that to work, each column has to mean something. So what I've done with my Kanban here is each column is a day. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so forth, all the way across to Sunday. So my columns are the days, and then what I do is put my tasks inside those days. So you can see, Monday, exercise. Yeah, we were back on the bike, literally, after Christmas. Now, I haven't put in here, I've left this incredibly simple, but if it's something that's interesting to you and you want me to expand it in the future, then I will do, because what I've built is actually way more complicated than this. But what you're looking at here is way enough to get going with. Because each one of these items can be expanded. Each item in here, this exercise and Camtasia and SSDs, all of those are full pages within Notion, within the table. So the page you're looking at, which is this one, demo page at the top, that's a page. but so is that install SSD. So if I click on it, it opens as a page. It even says open as a page if you want to. If you want to take that full width, you can. There's now no difference between that and the previous view, which was that. Even though this one is embedded within an object, embedded within this page. And that is the beauty of Notion. It's a platform. It's like a Meccano kit. You build what makes sense for you. And you know what never makes sense for me? Those stupid little things that say 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. Stuff will get done when it'll get done. And putting it down next to 10 o'clock isn't going to work because I'm probably listening to Ken Bruce. You get the idea. So these are the tasks that I have. And when the tasks are done, they get ticked off. So obviously, Wednesday, exercise. Course creation, did you do lesson 1? Then backed up the HD. You'll notice I installed the new SSD Tuesday, backed up the Macintosh hard drive to it on Wednesday. Then I had lunch with Mike on Thursday. That was nice. And then there's Friday. And look, after hours. Can I mark that off as done, seeing as though I'm here? Pretty please. Pretty please. So I'll put that in that's done. When we go back here, you'll see that's now got a tick in it. Exercise, getting there. Getting there. Not quite yet. Tomorrow, we've planned MacBites prep. And on Sunday, we're taking the Christmas decorations down, sadly, because we can't leave it any longer. But we do love our Christmas decorations. And what I can do with that board is just add elements. So let's say we do get the MacBites prep done on Saturday. Let's be ambitious and let's put in MacBites recording. And it's that simple to add a task. It's in there, I'm done. The reason that this is more simple than what I may put in mine is that when I open it, there's tags in there and there's files in there, and you can add as many properties as you like. So I could tag that as podcasting if I wanted to. And it's that simple to create a tag. If you think about it, I'm basically rebuilding things, aren't I? Or the new version of OmniFocus, because now I've put podcasting. If I go back and I look at that, that's MacBites prep. And I've not put podcasting in there, but I can do because I can choose it from that drop-down list. Not great, though, because I can't see it in here. But actually, you can, because all of this is configurable. So going over to the properties of the table, and the slider means it's turned on. It means that you can see that in the card. I don't need to see the day. Turn it on if you like, but I don't need to see it Saturday because it's in a column for Saturday. So that doesn't make sense. But the tags do. So if I turn the tags on, that makes total sense. I can then here in that go in and in there put household. That's a household task. So now I've tagged it with household. And I can carry on doing that for everything. So for this one, I might tag that as course creation. And everything that I put in here can be used elsewhere to create filters, to pivot by, and all kinds of things. So what we're looking at here is my week by day. But I can create saved views of it. Let's look at it, the same information, as a task list organised by day. And it has a quick think about it, and there we go. And what I can do in here is say, well, the tags are very interesting, but I'm more interested about whether it's done or not. So I'm going to move the tags to the end, and I'll move the done this way. And this is what I mean when I say you can completely redesign this to suit you. You're not limited to that. What if I wanted my tasks by day, but only for podcasting? I only want to see. So I'm going to go and I'll start with this one. I've got 2 podcast tasks down here. So it's very simple. What I'm going to do is, it's already sorted, but I'm going to apply a filter. In fact, what I'll do with this is I'll make a new view first. I'll go into here, make a view, and I'll call it podcasting jobs. And there it is. All I need to do is to filter it, add a filter. Well, it would be where the tags contain podcasting. And it's as simple as that. Now I can focus on that. So if you've ever used OmniFocus, isn't it similar? Only it's like having OmniFocus embedded in my paper Filofax. I love this. I love this. I now feel constrained when I use another digital tool, because what I want here is to have the flexibility of paper and the power of digital. And I think I've finally got it. I think I've finally forced it to do it. So let's just turn that back to by day, which is my default view. I want to see the entire week across there. Do you know what else we can do? We can fold that up as well so we can see more of it. It's still the same page, we've just folded the sidebar up. Underneath that, I've got weekly notes and I've got tasks carried forward. And basically, I'll sit down at the end of the week. During the week, actually, I put in some notes. So one of the notes, we mentioned something we needed to make a note of, and I didn't make a note of it and I've forgotten it. But whatever it was, that's where it would go. So maybe we need to... Linseeds. Linseeds was something. We needed some linseeds. Now, I could take the time and put that in our shopping system if I'd built it, but that's a work in progress. So what I do is just put a note there, and that would be enough to remind me that I need to do something with that next week. It's just unplaced notes from this week. And then I've got tasks carried forward. So if I don't get something done, then I might need to put something like update 1Password. So I need to put in a lot of information into 1Password, and it didn't get done this week, but I know I'm going to do it next week, so I put it down there. So basically, this is a very simple view that gives me 4 areas: goals, tasks, weekly notes, tasks carried forward, and in between those 4 is my actual weekly plan. That's not at all bad for me if I'm focusing on a week. And the most difficult thing I find with it is actually putting down goals that are goals rather than goals that are tasks. Take down the Christmas tree is not a goal, it's a task, and it's part of the Reclaim the House from Christmas goal. So just seeing goals in the top corner makes me think, no, don't put a task down. Think, why are you doing it? Why are you doing that task? And that helps me focus on it. So that is my weekly agenda. But for years and years, I've worked monthly. So I'm going to bring back my sidebar and go into the demo for 2019, which is this one. This is an exact copy. I'll take you through every month, and it's an exact copy of mine as it stands right now. This is what I've been using for the last 2 months in Notion. I have a page per month. So this is the page for 2019. Within it, I have 12 subpages. And I have, for the last 2 months, been building my life around this. So I'll open up 2019, January. And this is what I do with it. Now, put in the chat if you've ever heard of Franklin Covey or Hiram Smith. Frantically trying to remember what his was called. He had a business and he sold it and it became Franklin Covey. It escapes me, but when it comes back to me, I'll tell you. Why don't you? Hiram Smith. He built a paper-based system. So there was Franklin Covey and there was, I think it was Franklin, you know. I think he was something Franklin and merged with Covey. So they're now Franklin Covey. Right. What he suggested was that you go for a page-a-day system. And I'm sure we've all seen them, the Franklin Covey planner system. You open it out and you get 2 sides of an A5. On one side, you tend to have numbers. So hours of the day. Then you'll have tasks, and on the right-hand side, you had a whole page dedicated to notes. And I looked at this system when I upgraded my Filofax, and the problem to me with it was, if I make notes at a meeting I attend on the 7th of January, how am I going to remember it was the 7th of January down the line? I'm not.
Golden Eagle motivation.
That was his business, Golden Eagle. But no, I think it was Franklin. What I would need to know... was it Franklin Quest? Franklin Quest merged with Stephen Covey's company. That's what it was. It became Franklin Covey. Well, it was this system. And how he did it, and I thought that's genius. And I bought the paper-based system. As you work through each day, you put your notes for that day in the page for that day. And how you find it is you have an index page for the month. And on the index page, you put the important events per day. So, you're looking for the meeting notes. It's November. You know it was early in the year, it was cold. So let's work back from May. Mind you, if you're in the UK, that's sort of August, but never mind. You work backwards, but you don't want to go through every single day. Go through the index. And as long as you've kept the index up to date, you'll find exactly what you want when you want it. And the beauty of this bit, Paul, is it's digital, so it can have as much stuff in as you want. But I actually do like to maintain this index. It makes sense to me, even though in here, all I need to do is Command and P, and I can search for anything. It's like having Alfred built in. But it's still faster for me and nicer for me, actually, to look back at my index for the year. So what I've done with January is I've got some things in there, and these are genuine. These are genuine. We had lunch on Tuesday. And today we're doing the after hours, and we had Lola. Lola's the dog we borrowed. So we had Lola today. Today is always represented with a red dot. And that makes it easy to find for me. And then what I'll do is I'll take the red dot away and I'll put another red dot for tomorrow. And we've got a job called The Count on Sunday, so that's there. I've got an after hours next week, heads up. Afternoon tea on the Saturday, another after hours, you get the idea. These are the important things. The things I might want to remember if I'm looking at this index 12 months from now. That's what this is. Another way that I use it is I wanted to record a program. And this is the example I talked about earlier. I wanted to record a program and I saw it advertised and it's coming on the 8th of January. And I thought, oh, I like that kind of thing. I'd like to watch that. I go to my TV guide where I can just tap record and it won't update. And I can't see the program. So I have no idea what time it's on. All I know is it's on the 8th of January. Where do I put that? Now, if you're me, a post-it note on the desk to get lost with the 3,000 other post-it notes that's on the desk. So what I decided to do with it was, right, I don't put it on the desk in a post-it note. Why don't we put it in our to-do system? That should be perfect, shouldn't it? Okay, OmniFocus. It's just a TV programme. It's the 8th of January. That's it. Yes, but what context is it? What equipment do you need? What project's it in? Is it a single task thing? By the time I've thought of that, I've forgotten what the programme was. In here, it was simple. I just went to the day, because I have the days listed down here. These have absolutely nothing there. So if I open that day, nothing happening. It's blank. It's a canvas for me to put whatever I like on, but there's nothing there at the moment. And that's what the 8th looked like when I clicked it. It's a channel called Really in the UK, and the programme is called Murder by the Sea. No, not Dancing on Ice. Can't be doing with that. And that was it. I just put that in there and that's it. I know that I live in this system and I don't need any reminders setting on it. But if I wanted to, I could, because there is in here a reminder option. Now, where it is escapes me, but there was a reminder option. I can turn it into a reminder if I want to. I'm wondering why it isn't. Let me have a look. Can I put a reminder on it from here? There is a way to get a reminder on it. I will find out how, because I don't use it. I find I use it more as a compass. I look at this every day. I'm not going to forget something. I will be looking at this and I'll be looking ahead and I'll be looking back and I will proactively work with it. But it gave me somewhere to park it. So that was parked, done with, post-it note bin, dealt with. And this guides me through the month. And literally anything that I want to put on that day, I can. So it could be something very simple. It could be used as a journal. It could be a task list. It doesn't matter. So let's have a look at next Friday. Nothing at the moment. Alarmingly bare. But it won't end up like that. So I click to edit the page content. And now I'm in this area. This is a page that exists within a table. Within January 2019. So I could actually embed another page in here and put demo page, demo text. In my breadcrumbs, if I go backwards, I now have that page embedded within this day. Let's go back a step further. That page is embedded within the page within the index. So you can take this to any level you want. So I've put a page in. If we're going to be accurate, This is much more like what that would actually look like, which would probably be, I tend to make clear that it's notes, and then I would put something there like Affinity Designer. So it's notes for an Affinity Designer video. Now I need to find an Affinity Designer video, but I've probably got an Affinity Designer video if I type in there, Affinity Designer, YouTube. Fingers crossed it's one of mine. You one of mine? I think you are. So what I'm doing is I'm in a browser on the other screen, just getting, I know if I type my name right, I'll find it, won't I? There we go. So I'm in a browser over here showing you what I'm doing. So there, that one will do. That one will do. That was recorded live. There it is. So I'm going to take that, copy that, close that down. And instead of putting demo text, I'm going to paste the link into that video. Then I'm going to choose to embed that video. There it is. That video is now sat there waiting for me to watch it. In here, remember, I can press play, 90 minutes free Affinity Designer tutorials. And then underneath there, instead of demos, I'd be putting in notes, notes, notes. And then I can go backwards, and I've got those notes embedded in there. That was the research that I did that day. I can also in here make to-do items. So let's say I need to cook the dinner. This is highly unlikely, but we'll put it in anyway. I can quickly, by putting a slash, make it a to-do item by going down the list. So cook dinner. When I move down, that gives me another to-do item. So, oh, wash pots after I've done that. There we go, and keep doing that. You can delete to go backwards, and you can then put in a divider and start again. If you don't like the slash menu, that's okay. You can make it like that. How did I do that? It was an opening square bracket and a closing square bracket, and that makes a to-do. So another to-do. But the power of this isn't that. That's fine. But it's not as far as you can get. And yes, there are templates that you can use. To show you that, I'll put another page in. That takes me here, and these are the templates. So I go for an empty page or a default page, but you can choose any of the object types within Notion. Or you can choose a template, and when you go into there, you get all of these things. And I do suggest, if you're starting out with Notion, look at them. See what they've done with them. See how you can use some of the idea they've come up with. You might find one that's absolutely perfect. There is a weekly agenda in there, but they've used columns, not a board. And I like to be able to pivot and filter. And you can't pivot and filter with that one. It's very basic. It is literally just a column of text, a column of text, a column of text. There's other things like calendars. I could show you a genuine calendar if you like, Mike. Remember to tell me to show a calendar. There's all sorts of stuff. You can make a quick note, which is a very simple page. You can build up a design spec. There's lots of templates to go at. Meeting notes that you can have. Now in here, you might think that doesn't look like meeting notes. Well, it is, because it's all the meeting notes, or it's a calendar of when the meetings were. And obviously not this month. Or you can filter for marketing, or you can filter for engineering. And the notes themselves, well, they're in here. If I open that up, there's the notes from that meeting. So that, yes, there's templates, and yes, they're very, very good. So it is pretty amazing stuff. But I don't want to use that template. Where the heck was I? Right, I'm back in here. Let's delete that. Okay, because what I was going to show you was, in here, you're not just limited to to-do items. So let's say I'm doing a mini project and I've got 10 items for it and I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm in the middle of this. I need to do that. Oh, it's all too complicated. I can actually build in an inline table like you saw. Now I've got a table embedded in a page, embedded in an item within a table within a page. That's actually what I've got. Isn't it fabulous? It's amazing. So project tasks. You don't spell project like that, woman. Project tasks. And then I give the task a name. So I'll keep it simple to task 1 and so forth. There we go. But all of this is extensible. It's nothing short of amazing. And what I mean by extensible, Task 1. It's a page within a table, within a page, within a table, within a page. Because I can open it up. And I can edit the page contents. Shall I blow your mind? If this is beyond you, don't, or you've had too much vodka, don't worry about it. But I can put an embedded table within the item, within the table, within. You're with me. Think Russian dolls. Hundreds and hundreds of Russian dolls. But these are my project tasks, and what I was getting overwhelmed with, I couldn't remember which was in progress and which wasn't, and it was horrible. So, it's all looking a bit squashed. Let me widen this. Full width. That's looking better. Let me get onto it. And bear in mind what we're looking at. We're looking at one day. This is one page within my digital file of facts. Right. I need to extend this because I need a status column. I need to know who's doing what or who it's allocated to. Status. And I want to make it a select. What's the status of that? Not started. A lot of them will be not started. But this one could be in progress. So I'll put in progress. And then I might actually have one that's complete. So let's put that in. And I'm crazy, but I do like these colours. I do like my complete to be green and my in progress to be yellow and my not started to be red to remind me to get on with it. And I can do all of that. So there's my 3 tasks. I'm going to put one more in that's complete, just so I've got some variation here. You get the idea. I'm also going to put if I've assigned it. And if I have, who have I assigned it to, which is a person type. Oh, that'll be me because it's not started. But let's say Mike's ahead of himself. And the 2 that are complete, Mike has completed. And the in progress, Mike's doing that as well. Now my workload looks a whole lot better. But what I can do with this, which makes it easier, is I can create a filter. So I could go to the create a view and put in there outstanding in a table. There we go. All the tasks are there. And I want to see, what do I want to see? I don't want to see the complete ones, but I need to see the not started and the in progress. A couple of ways to do that. You either put it in as not complete or you put it in as in progress or not started. And its status is in progress, add a filter, or status is not started. And now I have an outstanding tasks view. Not bad. Right, go back to where I was, which was my default view that had everything in it. Guess what else I can do with it? I'm going to give you a couple of seconds and then I'll blow your mind. I'm going to make a new view, and this view, so add a view. And while you're pondering it and I'm thinking about it, just look at a comment which seems so easy after a little bedding in. I looked at this for a week and I loved the idea. And then I went away thinking, yeah, but I need to think about it. I need to build it. Oh, it's difficult. I came back after a couple of weeks and I just flew with it. And I thought, you need to think of this as it's not ever going to be finished, because neither's a paper-based one. You can put extra pages in, you can draw on it, you can extend it, and you have to think of this as that. It does seem overwhelming, and when I'm talking about embedding this in this, in this, and this, but it's logical. If you think, I wonder if I can put that there, the answer is you probably can. So the view I'm going to create here is tasks by status. So I actually want to see progress as to how I'm going. How does the person assigned get notified of the task? Well, Mike and I work in the same thing together. So we're in the same organisation, and there is a running list of notifications of mentions and assignments. So they will get notified automatically. Like the Kanban and database capabilities, and seriously reconsidering not resubscribing to Monday.com, which is seriously expensive. This can work out possibly more expensive than you would imagine. I think we pay £8 something a month. But I'll explain later why, because I'm coming on to the mother and father of all demos. If you think this is good, you should see the next one. So let's create this tasks by status. And this time I'm going to create a different view. You have 5 view types, and I'm going to create the board view. So board view, create. I don't need that no status. Everything will always have a status. So I'll make sure that that's hidden, which flips it across to the hidden columns. And then I want not started, in progress, complete. Fabulous. But underlying it is the same data. So I can flip back to the other view. That was my starting view. I can have just outstanding. I can go into tasks by status. It's amazing. That's in one page. I am not flitting around from page to page and thinking, oh, that's somewhere else. It's in this page. It can be built very quickly. You've just seen me throw it together. And you can extend as you go. And all of that started from the monthly index. And this is what drives the work I do. I want to be thinking about the power of the weekly view because I do a weekly review. And I can see the benefit of that weekly view. You can set your goals by week, and you don't want a month to get away with you. It's easier to manage it by week. But in terms of my history with digital and non-digital, analog systems, this view works. I know if I've lost something, I don't have to rely on the digital thing to find it. I can go in here and I can just flick back by month. What I do to make that very pretty is if we go right back to the demo page, we've seen January. I have a nice frosty image for January. And I also have a nice little calendar there for January. What that actually is, it allows you to choose emojis, but you can also upload an image. And that's what I've done with that. And if we go back, I've done this for every year. For every month, within this year. What I haven't done is build the table in. Can you think of a reason I wouldn't have built the table in yet? Have a think about that, and then I'll ask you again when I get to December. Why wouldn't I have put the table in there yet? But all I've done is find a pretty image for the top. You don't need a pretty image for the top if you don't want one, but I decided I would be bothered and I would put them in. You'll notice, though, that the calendar icon is just the standard emoji calendar icon. This is where I'm going to cheat. I'm going to show you how I did it. Mike didn't know I was going to sneak in an Affinity Designer demo. Oh, it's fast, honest, I'm not drawing them. Okay, what I've got in here is open recent calendar icons for Notion. I created calendar icons, and there they all are. These are the master months because a month can only start on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday or Sunday. And all I have to do is duplicate these artboards and drag on the right one. Simplicity itself, and then change the year. So those were my icons. All I need to do is export them. So export my slices, stick them on the desktop. There they all are. Boom, boom, boom. They'll be behind here. Fabulous. And all I need to do here is click on there, upload an image, choose a file. It does recommend sizes, but I totally ignore that. So let's go for February. And it uploads a custom icon, which gives me a month overview. Right, let's go back. I won't do that for all of them, but you can see the icon comes through here as well. I can't do much in the way of zooming in too much to see that, but the first two icons are my custom icons. Then I've got March, so let's have a look. Oh, I put pretty flowers for March. April's a good one, though. April's a good one if you're a footy fan and you support Manchester United, because there is a picture there. It's an old one. I'll change the view so you can see more of it. It's a very old one. It's Manchester United winning the Rumbelows Cup in 1992, which was the day Mike and I started going out. So, of course, I have to have that there. It's our anniversary. May's a very good month. Brace yourself. May's my birthday. So I've put my birthday image. And that's all I've done. I've gone through these pages and that's as much as I've done. This is coming from the name of the page. This is just some random image that, either looks pretty, the weather's right, or whatever. And there they are. And that's what I've done all the way through. November's nice. I've got fireworks for November, and I've got something very Christmassy for December with an advent calendar in it. Oh, so I've got one element of content. Right. Why would I not have embedded the lovely tables? Do we have an answer for that? We don't, do we? Today.com 2-user license in excess of £400 a year. This is less than half that. for the both of us. And you can generate affiliate stuff. Well, you're supposed to. It works when it feels like it. But I think we got about $10, $15 in affiliate stuff. So you can build up as well by recommending people. So if you've got a team of people, then one would definitely get it cheaper than the other, or it would go against the entire bill. The reason that I didn't embed this is because I might want to change it. The way I foresee that I would want to change it is, if I open up a blank one, maybe I want to put in the bottom half of here a pre-configured layout in a similar way to the demo for the weekly one. I might want something like that embedded in each page. So because of that, I've left the table. I'm foreseeing by the end of January, mid-February, I'll be sure, or much more certain than I am now, exactly how I want that to work. So those are the first two demos. That's how I'm replacing OmniFocus things and 27,000 other ones. But back into the next thing. This is the mother and father of all demonstrations, and you need a little bit of explanation as to how this happened, because it's been a long time in the making. Quite a few of you who are here tonight probably listen to the MacBites podcast, so you know exactly what we're talking about. But we also have people here with us tonight who have found us on YouTube, and you are unaware of the MacBites podcast. MacBites podcast has been around since 2007. Mike and I started it with a friend from the local Mac group, and then he absconded, and there was just the two of us. He left us, but it's all right because Siri and MacBites Siri and Lady Siri joined us after, so it was all fine. But what we did was we set up a podcast way back in the day, 12 years ago this year. And at the beginning, it was easy. We used Google Notebook. What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, they sunsetted it. So we moved over to Etherpad. What we were doing at this time was just throwing down notes and just blindly going from that. Guess what happened to Etherpad? Got sunsetted. So we moved to Simple Note.
What else happened with Etherpad?
Oh yes, Etherpad. Do you remember deleting the show notes?
Yes, but I thought it was Google Docs.
No, it wasn't. It was Etherpad. Etherpad was ahead of its time. It was a notes app, markdown support in a browser, real-time editing, multi-user capability. It was fabulous. It died. Which was when we went to Simple Note, which was pretty much the same. And guess what? It died. It died, and then it was resurrected. Oh. But at the time, it died. But it wasn't a problem. Because then we went on and we did it in Google Wave. Which, guess what?
It died.
It died. There's a common thread here, isn't there? Basically, anything we touched to do the show in died. Except Google Docs, which didn't die.
No.
But we got that fed up of it. We nearly did. So we've taken this process that I'm going to show you now through all of these systems. We briefly toyed with Evernote. Don't go there. It was bad. Then there was OneNote. That completely balked my Mac install of OneNote. But it was fine. We moved over to Podio. Who's heard of Podio? We've mentioned others, but not Podio. We built an entire system in Podio. That didn't die. It nearly killed us. It was one of those. At which point we took it to Trello. And I got very serious at this point. Very, very serious.
Somebody mentioned earlier.
Somebody mentioned Trello earlier. Because Trello is the de facto Kanban thing. It is. Problem with Trello was it couldn't do certain things. And Shiny Syndrome took over and we went to Asana, which was fine. We absconded to Asana. It's another Kanban-based system. So if you've tried Trello, you'll be very comfortable in Asana. Trouble is with Asana, there were certain things it didn't do. And guess what? We ended up back with Trello. You're following along at the moment. It was horrible. We went from system to system to system looking for how to do it, how to make it easy. And this is the problem. You become addicted to trying a new system because the next one's going to be better. I can happily report the next one was better. We went to ZenKit. I built a whole custom solution. It integrated with Google Calendar. It had saved filters. It had linked tables. It was perfect. Trouble in paradise. What could possibly be wrong with that? We tried to give them money, and it wasn't cheap. It was around the $200 mark again. I wrote them an email. I said, right, this is where I'm at. We want to pay you. We did it. A couple of questions. And guess what? Crickets. Nothing. If you can't be bothered answering a customer support call, I'm not impressed. At which point, handily, Notion appeared. Now, I tested it 2 months ago and I've been using it for about 5 weeks. So everything you saw me build tonight, I've only been using it 5 weeks. I had no idea what it could do, but I tried rebuilding the MacBites solution from ZenKit. But I had no great hope it would be anywhere near as good as we'd built, because the Kanban part of Notion is only part of it. But it was fantastic. We managed to transfer all future production from ZenKit to Notion within minutes of building the prototype that I'm going to show you now. So let's have a look what I built and how it actually works. You do need to caveat that with Notion. The only thing Notion does not do, it doesn't produce the final output that gets posted on the website. That comes from Scrivener. But the good news, Notion loves Scrivener and Scrivener loves Notion. So it works fantastically. It's the most seamless thing we've ever had. And yes, all those things flashing by, they flash by pretty much as fast when we were trying to use them as well. Unfortunately, they all died. So let's get out and actually have a look at the MacBites one. And this is not a demo. This is real. You're about to see behind the veil. So in the shared workspaces, which were these in the middle, if you remember, there's MacBites. So let's go into MacBites. We have in there the inbox. The inbox is where we haven't got time to put something in the right place. It goes in there. That line that says the style guides and best practices for our engineering team came from a template. I started this from a template and then deleted absolutely everything. So the next thing I've got in there is show production. That's where we're going to go. The other things that you see here is me in the middle of building a dashboard, promotions that we run for Advent, processes we need to publish the show, a mail manager, which I might just show you, and some management for MacBites, which I'm trying to remember what the heck that was. But we don't need to worry about that because we're going straight into show production, how we produce the MacBites podcast. And if you've never heard a MacBites podcast, I'm going to let those in the chat who have heard a MacBites podcast try and explain what genre we are. I'll leave that with you. So, show production. In the show production, there's a few items. The top two are the critical two, the shows and the content items. These four, the app review, book review, hardware review, and shopping with Elaine, are a work in progress. The chat log, we keep a note of suggestions you make in the chat. Well, the positive ones anyway. So tonight we've had a request that we look at Affinity photo for iPad colouring images, and that's where you will find that. So it doesn't slip through the cracks. But the top two are the business two, shows, content. So let's start off with shows. You should be comfortable here now. This is it. It's a table. It's a table in a page. It's as simple as that. And what you see here, it goes back to episode 106. And there's one at the bottom, which is where I'm starting to backfill special events. But everything from 106 in August 2016 is in here. Each line represents a show. So if we take 114, there's 114. We've got the number, we've got the title, so it was Yosemite Sam and the Magically Multiplying Show Notes. Then you have the image, which is the artwork, and in there I can click on that to see it. I need to see it better. I can, from there, download it. I can view the original and then download it from there. So it's worth our while having that there. Then there's the duration of the show. Then there's the date it was released. That is the show notes page. So if I click on there, it will load it in. It's off screen, but it will load it in. And I'll bring it across. So it links out to the page on the website, which saves us a ton of time. Oh, where's that show? What's the link? So I'm liking that, Paul. Enthusiastic, orderly chaos. A bit like this without the order then. Then across there, we've got a status. We have a status of not started, in progress, completed. We have the chat log. So that's where we keep the notes from the chat. And then we have the actual show URL. That's the information that we keep about a show. And we used to have it in Excel because Mike's an Excel boy. And then it was, where's that spreadsheet, which is the latest version? Have you put this in it? Now we need to redesign it. And not everything was in it. So we decided that we would put it, and I think the first place it went was ZenKit. But what we've got built in here is what we had in ZenKit on steroids. So if I go into 114, which was the last show, and open up the page that is 114, you see exactly the same metadata. So status, who it's assigned to. I'm going to skip past content items. I'm going to come back to that. Show title, show art, release date, duration, show notes URL, show URL. So the same information is available there that is in the table. But as you scroll down, you've got a lot more information. So as I scroll down, the first thing I have is the actual show. You won't hear it, but I can actually, in fact you will if I turn the sound up, but then all heck will break loose. That's an embedded version of the show. So if Mike says to me, what was the Siri sketch at the end? I haven't got a clue. Just press play, move it to the end, you're done, and you can hear it. You can also download it. There is a download button on the right-hand side. So then we have the content items, we'll be coming back to that, and our publishing checklists. So that entire page, which I can open as a page, is the show. That drives our production of the show. That gets the show out of the door. But that's not all there is, sadly, to getting a show out. If it was just a matter of filling in one of those, it would be fine. But we actually have items within the show that need work. We need to research them, check the prices, get the links. There's stuff to do. So let's go back and have a look at show production. The other item that we've got, page, table, call it what you will, is content items for the show. These are the individual elements of content that we put in each episode of MacBites. So let's have a look what that looks like. And that looks like a Kanban, a true Kanban. It's got columns across the top, which are sections of the show. The welcome, the back bites, chat bites, reality bites, focus, app review. Don't we do a lot of work? I should pause there for dramatic effect. Right, so there's all of this embroiled in getting a show out the door. You can see these did have content in them, but obviously I've only backfilled a couple of shows because the other stuff was in ZenKit. But moving forward, this is where they'll be. Now, that's great as far as it goes, but what shows are we looking at? It's show content by section of the show, but for which show? Well, underneath the last item in each card is actually the show. But that's not much use because they're not in the right order. I've got a 115, a 115, and a 117, and they're not in any kind of order. I can drag them about and put them in an order if I want to, but over time, they're not going to be in the right order. But that's okay because we can make a view. So up here, we are looking at all shows, board by section. And we've pre-configured other views. So if I'm looking at what was in 114 by section, that is a saved view that pre-filters it. And what you'll find in elements like in each of these is like, if we open up the iPad one, I've got links, I've made some notes here, we've got some stuff coming in, we've got all the stuff we talked about. So we take that out of there. So that's what you'll find behind each card. So think of them as an index card with a limitless stuff in the background, a limitless pages, Kanbans of their own, however detailed you want to be, We've also got by section for 115, which eventually will happen at some point, but better than that. Let's go back to, not that one. Let's go back to section for 114. We have a tendency to get overexcited about the stuff we put in, and we might put too much in. So we built a system to handle that as well. And if we open up some of these like SAFT, there we go. There is a points value, points complete, and points. What we've done with it is we've given each card, each element of the show, each content item, each story, if you like, a value. It's not a minute value. It's an effort value, if anything. It's just a value. And publishing the show is 150, to give you an idea. Replying to somebody who's posted to us is probably between a 3 and a 5. And we just go on gut instinct. We are not clever with it. Now, if this is sounding familiar, you may be thinking, Scrum, Agile, and you wouldn't be a million miles away. And how that equates for us is we now need to know for 115, well, let's say 114 because we know that that's okay. It's done, it's out the door, so everything was fine. These items in here must add up to something that we can actually deliver. So we can see there weren't many sections, but there wasn't an event. There weren't many sections because we were talking about sexy kit all day. We had our new iPad, our new MacBook Air, and that was what we were talking about. So, but each element of this show has a number assigned to it. And what we need to do is summarise that number. And we can't even see it here because in this view, I don't care. But we have a burn down chart. Who's heard of a burn down chart? It's a table, and what it does is it shows us here how many points all of those add up to, and it was 89, and how many points are complete. And we use that information somewhere else. So let's have a look at the burn down for 115, because this one's not complete. We're all over the place with this. But if we look at the points complete, we're halfway there with the welcome, and we've got a 2 out of 5 and a 2 out of 2, so that one's complete. And we've got a 0 out of 20, that's not good. But overall, we've got 130 points that it will take to finish this show, and we've done 48 of them. We're not even halfway there. But fear not, it'll get out eventually. There'll be no restraining it. But we need to know that. Now, I can look at that and I can think, yeah, need to do more work. And that's okay as far as it goes. But when's the show going to be out? And how much time have I got? And how does that fit in with everything else I've got to do? And that's where that information comes in handy. Because what I've got, let's go and see if I can find it. It's over here. We take that value and we do it on a daily basis. There it is. There it is. There it is. We take how much work we do on a daily basis and we put it into this chart in Google Sheets. So there's going to be 280 units of actual work. And we've done 5 on the 1st of January and we did 15 on the 2nd. got to rush on. And we completed 40 that day and 48 that day. So it's cumulative. We're now up to 48, which you've seen. And we look at that and we know with one glance at that chart, we're ahead of ourselves. Amazing. We're ahead of ourselves unless we're publishing on Monday, in which case we're not ahead of ourselves. But if we're publishing on Monday the 14th of January, we're fine. Because the green tells us that we were behind, now we're in front. As long as that green line is lower than the blue one, we're good to go. And why there's a kink at the end is once it's recorded, it needs editing and publishing. And editing and publishing is quite work intensive. So 150 of those points are publishing the thing. But for Mike and I, we can glance at that, and you know he's an Excel boy. We can glance at that and we can know we're either ahead or we're not. If we have a look at 114, yes, things could have gone more smoothly, couldn't they? But it got out the door. We were ahead for the first 2 days of production, but then we got behind. That tells me we were up to the eyes with other work, and it carried on that way until the last day. And on the last day, you'll notice it was bank holiday. We did nothing else but publish the show, and we caught up with ourselves. So that's how we use the points value. You don't have to go anything like as complicated as that. But I'm showing you how this works. Now, at that point, is that good? Is that good? Is that complicated? Is that, wow, I wish all my stuff was that organised. Because I need to explain now how the two of those, because it doesn't end there. How do the two of those hang together? And this is how they hang together. Little bit of theory. Notion has what it calls relations, which could be misconstrued, but it's called relations. Just hold that thought. And we need to create a Notion relation between the shows and the content items. Okay. So we have shows. We have a golden show and we have a blue show. There is one entry in the shows table for each of those. Content items, we have a lot of content items. And they're a mixture between the gold show and the blue show. Now, the gold show is 114 and the blue one is 115. And the elements of content look like that. So in 114, we're only interested in the gold items, and in 115, we're only interested in the blue items. And what we need to be able to do is to build a view in Notion where it automatically filters everything else out and builds a link between those two shows. Between the show, one show on the left, and multiple content items on the right, which sounds hideous. And if you've ever used anything else, you might be thinking it is hideous. It's not. It's actually really simple. Let's go back into the shows. Within an individual show, 114, let's open it up, we have in there content items. And there are content items. How on earth do they appear there? Because they're also down here. Well, how that was done was from the content items. Each content item, so these are content items in a burn down. It doesn't matter which. Let's take it to board by section and pick one we've already done. So, have we got one we've already done? Should do. Yosemite, we've already done it. In that field there, where it says show link, you link it to a show. So let's imagine I wanted to link it to 115. I type in 115 and it pre-filters, and there is 115, and I could link it to 115 as well as 114 if I wanted to. Because if I click away, I am now linked to two shows. I can also, if I want, take it away from 114, which obviously I do not want to do. On pain of death, I don't, or my system will break. But what I can do is take it away from 115, because we talked about it on 114. And it's that simple to link each individual item within here to a show. So if we have a look at the burn down for 114, we can see here the show link. And all that is the column that links it to the shows. Which means, as far as I'm concerned, I hardly ever come in here and fiddle. What I do with show production is think I need to do some work on the show. Which show is it? It's 114. Open it up, take it as a full page, boom, I'm done. And I work down here. And if you're wondering where this table comes from, the little arrow means it's a linked table. So it's not a copy that I've got to keep in sync. It's pointing back to the original database. It's just added a filter to it to only show me 114. But if I wanted to filter further or do something with that, I could, because as you now know, these things can rush and doll forever. And that is how we put MacBites together in Notion. Notion quite handily took money off us too. So we're not moving in the near future because we've paid them. I think, is this the only system we've ever actually bought? Because most of them were free, and it just proves the point. Being free, they all died. This one hopefully will not die. We're paying them. We did try to pay ZenKit, but that didn't end well. So that is the system that we use to create MacBites. And if you've never heard of MacBites, you need to go find it and have a look at MacBites. So that was Notion. Let us know if you want more Notion, because lots of people seem to want Notion. They seem to like Notion. I will be building my to-do system, so I'll probably give you an update on that. But now the Affinity designer of the night, which is creating depth. It sounds boring, but it's not. Honestly, I've got a good demo. So I'll show you something that I did actually create. Friends with kids wanted, so did. Let's have a look at that. So I'm going to start with a completely blank file. So I'm not starting with my calendar one. I'm starting with a new blank file. It's 1280 by 720, but only because that's what it is already and it doesn't actually matter. So I've got a new file. There isn't even an artboard in it at the minute, and it doesn't matter. For this demo, it doesn't matter. Can if you want, doesn't matter. I am going to grab a marquee, well, a rectangle. not a marquee, that would be a selection. A rectangle tool, drag a rectangle on. And I'm going to scale it over here so it's totally perfect. So 1280 by 720, and I want it positioned at 0 and 0. That gives me a background to play. So Patrick likes Notion and Paul likes Notion. We do food after this demo, but you can eat now if you want, Paul. I'll save myself because you don't want to hear me chewing, but feel free and have another vodka. So I've got this shape at the background, and all I'm going to do with it is give it a very simple fill. So I want something quite dark, very dark. That's dark and that's dark. I think I'll go for that one, which is darker. Don't need the border on it, so I'm going to take the border away. And I'm going to lock that because I don't want to move it either. But I'm going to hide it because now what I'm going to do is get the pen tool and just draw a shape. Now, if you're not good with the pen tool, don't worry, because you can edit this. All I'm drawing is like a hole, really. If you think of this as a pothole in the road, you wouldn't be far off. So I'm just drawing an almighty hole here, which may or may not look fabulous when I've finished. I'm clicking and dragging to get the edges off it, and I've finished it over there. Now, let's have a look at it. Not bad, not bad. If I click away, it seems to disappear. But it's only disappeared because it hasn't got an edge on it. Up here, both are transparent. I'm going to give it a fill, and I'm going to give it a fill of exactly the same colour as the original. And that's my shape, and that's not bad. I can live with that. But if I wanted to edit it, double click, and these points come alive, and you can start playing around with them. So if it's not quite right for you, you can do that, and you can alter the handles and generally make it a better shape for you. For what I want, that's not actually a bad shape. I wanted to create a planets diagram. Well, not a diagram, artwork. A nice space artwork. So I need to create depth of a black hole. So there's the black hole. Fabulous. And there's the rectangle. Yeah, I've seen better black holes. Yeah, it's black. If I put a border on that, you can see where it actually is, but there's no depth to it at all. And that's the problem with it. There's no depth. So how do we add depth to it? Well, I could start fiddling, but luckily you don't need to because you can add an effect, and that will add anything you like to it. What I'll do to give you an idea is show you just the layer I'm actually going to edit. And let's just show you what a Gaussian blur can do, or a Gaussian blur, depending on how you say it. You do that, it's still a vector, but now it's got a blur on it. And that's how these effects work. Now, I'm not looking for that kind of effect, so I'll turn that one off. I could be looking for an outer shadow, couldn't I? Could be. If I drag these up, you start to see the shadow coming off the bottom, and I can change the intensity of it, and I can soften it down. Have the offset sort of there. That might do it. That should give us enough of a differentiation between the shape and the background. The problem is that's not a black hole either. Now it looks like it's sat on top of it. Not bad, no t-shirt. So let's go back in, and you can edit this. So let's take the outer shadow off. If the outer shadow made it look raised, all together now, an inner shadow should make it look pushed through. So let's turn the inner shadow on and start building up the inner shadow. And you can see the inner shadow coming in as I do this, getting bigger and bigger. And you can change the offset so you can have it coming in from one side. I'm going to leave that there, and I'll change the intensity a little bit, take the radius right up. And now it looks like we have a hole in the background. But remember, we do not have a hole in the background. If I move this around, the background is solid. Right? If I turn the hole off, the background is solid. That becomes important if you're going to do what we're going to do. So there's a curve, and there is the effect on that curve. Now, one thing you can do to do the next one, because I want this to be multi-layers deep, what you can do with this is I'm going to turn that off, go back to the rectangle, go back to the pen tool, and draw another one. Now, actually, it would be a good idea if I could see that, wouldn't it? I'll lock it, though. I don't want to edit it. I want to create another one inside here. So let's draw that round. We're making it smaller so it's recessed inside it. And I'm not being precious as to how good it looks. It's the principle that's going to apply, because we do like our Affinity stuff here. Problem with it, looks like it's disappeared again. It's not, it's there. One thing you can do to do exactly what we did with the first one, but do it much faster, is go to that and edit copy. And I've picked up the entire shape at that point. But if I click on the new curve and I go to edit, I can actually paste just the style. So it will take the style and apply that to there. Fabulous. Now, to make that even quicker, I could copy the whole thing and paste that. Now I've got two of them. And what I can do with that is scrunch it down to put it in the middle. And if it looks too much like the other one, double click and start editing it with the handles. So it doesn't look like an exact copy, because you can always go back and edit these things as you are seeing. Fantastic. So we now have a black hole. But remembering, they're not actually holes. They're sitting on top of that, so the background is still solid. What I then did was, to add some interest to this, is I got a file, the link for which I will put below the video, which is a free file. I will show you where it came from. It came from here, which is FreePic. So this was the file. And it had these beautiful planets in it. And I thought, that looks amazing. I want some of those planets. So as long as you give credit, consider this credit, you can use that. So that's the file. I'll put the link in. And all I did was open it up and create an Affinity Designer version of it. You can see the names are in it. Don't actually want the names, do we? So let's turn the labels off. I put those separate, but this one's beautiful. So copy, and then go back to our file, which I'm thinking would be a good idea to save, because I am using the beta, and paste it in. And now I've got, come on, wait, wrong tool, there we go. I can put the little planets in there. So let's get that other green one, that was rather nice, and put that in there. Now, that's all very well if they're off in the distance. And I think one thing I did as well was bring some stars over. There is a stars layer here, a group for stars. So copy that. And what I did with it was put it on a layer. Oh, you were at the top. There we go. And what I did, rather than make it bigger, was I created copies of it and stretched it out so it filled all over. Let's duplicate that. So we had some depth. That's fabulous. And I just randomized that, dropping them about. Then I grouped the stars and toggled them off because I wanted to add more planets. I'm enjoying the planets. Let's go back and get more planets. Oh, let's have that pink one there. Venus. There we go. And put that one in. Now, you can scale them. You can do whatever you like. But if you look at this, they're not going to look like that. We're not going to have a planet sat over a black hole. Not like that. So, oh, and I've got an errant thing in there, haven't I? What on earth are you? Let's get rid of you. So what I did with these was I placed them within the layers that I've created. How on earth did I do that? Well, I'm going to cut that one and I'm going to select this shape. So the shape that we're looking to select is this shape here, the outer shape. And at the top here, you have some options. You can insert behind the selection. You can insert at the top of the layer, or you can insert inside the current selection. And that's the one I'm going to select, and then I'm going to paste. And it actually pastes it inside the selection, which won't make a difference as long as you can see it like that. But the minute you take it, or you attempt to take it outside, you only see part of it. That's one way to achieve that effect. Now let's do it a different way with this one. I'd like this one looking like it's inside the inside one here, which is that one. The other way to do it is with the layers panel. If you drag that and you put that inside that curve there, it's inside it. So if I now select this and I try moving it, that too is inside that shape. It's just two ways of doing exactly the same thing. And this one was on the outside, I think. That wasn't pasted in anywhere, was it? We'll put that one inside that one there. So drag it from there, drag it down to there, and there it is. And I need to do that to move it slightly so we can just see that there. Let's change the size a little bit and bring it in like that. And that is how you create depth in Affinity Designer. And of course, then you need to turn your stars back on. Gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of, if I'm looking at that now, I'm thinking I'm not liking this shape. This, not that shape. That shape, no, that one. No, I was right in the first place. It's the inner one, isn't it? It's that one. Or is it the smallest one? It's that one. Honestly, it's that one. Right, so if I get this edit tool, I want to try and take that kink out of it, which I can do. So the whole thing here remains editable. All the glows and stuff that you've got on it are from Vector. So there we go. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? Just ease those kinks out somewhat. But it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to look like a 3D, trifold, you name it, black hole. So, good night, Paul. Good to have you with us. That is how you make depth in Affinity. So that was this week's Affinity. I'm thinking for next week's Affinity, something wholly different. I'm thinking global colours and symbols. But I'm also now thinking Affinity Photo on the iPad colouring images. So I've got those two. Do you want to make a vote on it? You have a think about it. But what we're doing now is what has fast become... I need to get to there, don't I? Well, the highlight for me of the week. I've got toys and I have to open them. And I've got two to show you. But to do that, I'm going to need to come out and get the camera working. There. Would that it was easier. But what I'll do is I will attempt to get Air Server working.
I'm going to play cameraman.
You're going to play cameraman. There's the light. We just need this thing, and we need this working, which is always a black art, I can assure you. So what I'm attempting to do is get my phone screen doodad with you. There it is. And I need to take the lock off, and I need to go in there, and I need to do that. And technically you should see that. Is that backwards? It's backwards. Yeah. It's always backwards. It does it to annoy me. Are you flipping round? You're not, are you?
Yeah.
Whee, that's better. Okay, you saw a sneak peek there. Whee, sneak peek. So, we need to get that on there. This is really a black art, isn't it? I did that last week, and you know it didn't click in. It was sort of working at totally the wrong... Just a minute. I need to get rid of that. Hold that there. And then I need to make that bigger, which I forgot to do last week. So you can see all of the tech on the desk that it takes to run these things. Let's make that bigger. And get toy number 1 out. This is toy number 2. Toy number 1. To do that, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but you need to see, not my plaster, you need to see that. See that green tinge? Let's get the light on that green tinge. That's supposed to be white. The reason it's green is unknown to me as well. But it's an Apple Watch strap. And I had an Apple Watch strap with my first Apple Watch. And it was white. And I thought that'll last all of 5 minutes. So what I'll do with it is I'll buy a replacement white watch strap. And I did. Lasted fabulously for an entire year. And then I got a new watch and I got a grey strap with it. And I thought, well, the white strap, you know, I won't bother changing the strap. I'll stick with the grey one for a couple of weeks. And I did. And it was fantastic. I then gave Mike that watch when I got my third Apple Watch. And it's been fabulous, hasn't it? It looks like new. This one is my 4th series Apple Watch. And that strap, that's now luminous green, as you can see, is 3 months old. So I wasn't pleased. So this, up a smidgen, I ordered myself 2 new Apple Watch straps. And I am hoping for better things. Ooh, I'm sure they came in nice boxes last time. That doesn't look totally impressive, does it? But these are they. So I have a grey one. Up and over. I have a grey one and I have a white one. So let's have a look if this white one is a better colour than the one I'm wearing. Crying out loud, Apple. The reason I went for replacement... Oh, now you see that is brilliantly white. Let's do a comparison there.
For how long?
Just look at the difference. Yeah, well, the last one lasted a year. 14 months. There is a huge difference between the white of that and the white of the Apple one now. Yeah. And that's the other bit there. So, let's have a look at the darn thing. I'm not going to actually change it. What I'm going to do is take the watch off. There it is. Oh, my poor baby. There's my poor baby. It's filthy, isn't it? And have a look how that compares there. It's actually it's more white. I think even, let's bring the light over. That actually looks grey by comparison next to the fake one here. This one, the Apple one, I think it's about 80 quid. This one, £6.50. In fact, that's got metal bits on it and the Apple one's got plastic. But looks-wise, I'm moving that and you can't see that, can you? Let me move it up so you can see it. Apart from the fact it's filthy. Please ignore the filth. Right, if you bring that in so you can see that they look identical. This bit on my last fake one went rusty. But that is identical to the Apple one. I can't tell those apart. I cannot tell those apart. So let's have a look at the grey one. These are getting swapped on this week. Might actually put the grey one on for a change. There we are. There we are. I'd say the Apple, colour-wise, colour card-wise, I'd say the Apple one's somewhere in the middle, wouldn't you? Let's take it over there and have a look at it. Yeah, also known as filthy. Watch is filthy. But they are identical, aren't they? When you think of the price difference, that's absolutely criminal. So they'll be going on this week. That was my unbox, but I've got another unboxing. So let's move these out of the way. This one has a very interesting story with it. As I said, it's from Apple. It's a box and it's from Apple. There it is, in a bag. Not actually very sexy for an Apple toy, is it? No, but then what's inside it's not that overly sexy either. Right. Carl, you're top of the list for photo colouring. Right. Let me get that open with the scissors. Whee! And let's see what's inside it. Oh, the excitement of an Apple unboxing. You see? Oh, I think it could be a box. Right, what have we got inside here? We have a box. And we have a bag. Royal Mail. It's going back. Royal Mail. This won't end well. It's going to Lutterworth, and you can see on there's a bag. What I'm hoping this is...
It's a box.
I tend to think of it as sort of a child seat for my phone. What I have got here is an Apple return kit for your hardware. Yes, my phone needs a battery replacement, and this is the kit they send you. Oh, look at that.
Oh, how cute.
How cute, look.
Oh.
And that's a solid plastic box inside a solid wooden box. Oh, no, it's plastic. There we go. That is what an Apple return kit looks like.
Even when Apple cock up, they think of everything.
Oh, they do. They do. You shouldn't need a battery replacement, I'll tell you. So the phone needs to go in this bag, and then the bag needs to go in the box, and then the box... This is sounding like Notion.
It is.
It's like a physical representation of Notion. That needs to go in there, and then the whole lot needs to go in the bag and needs to go to Lutterworth.
And I have to take it to the post office.
And you have to take it to the post office and tell them on pain of death, if they have an accident with it, I will not be held responsible for my actions. So it's part of a battery replacement program, this malarkey. I have an iPhone 6 Plus with a dodgy battery, and it needs to be returned. Now, there's a long story to that, but I'm going to leave that for a MacBites. The sad, sorry tale of why I'm sat here with a box and why I'm not luxuriating in an Apple store is a long and complicated story. But that needs to go back within a couple of days. And then hopefully it will find its way back to me. So that's what we did an unboxing of. Isn't that sad? A box within a box within a bag within... Oh, but that's what it is. So not the usual excitement of an Apple unboxing, sadly, but useful, because my toy's going to go in there. My toy being... Where's my toy? No, that's the 7. Oh. We have multiple ones of those. It's there. There's my toy. And they ask you if your toy has got any damage. And my toy has no damage whatsoever. My toy is... Oh, come on. Get turned on. Turn on. It's a little bit on the slow side. But bless it. Bless its heart. There we are. There's nothing wrong with it. The case is... yes. But they'll laugh when they see this. I'll show you that it's pristine. Including the money.
Yeah, don't send that back with it.
I'm not sending the money back with it. It said anything you send.
Is that your emergency text?
This is my emergency money. You know when you're out and you've only got your phone and then you can't buy a thing with it. I have emergency money. But yes, my phone is absolutely pristine. And here's hoping it comes back that way. So that's a 2014 iPhone 6 Plus about to be returned for a battery repair. Along with my £30. It used to be 10, but, you know, Brexit and everything. So that's going back for a repair.
They do it in store, Carl, but listen to MacBites for the full sad, sorry tale.
They do it in store, but there was a long, complicated story involving Christmas opening hours and availability, which nearly didn't end well for Apple, seeing as though they gave me 7 different prices. It is a long story.
Is there a menu?
A menu? Why is there a menu? Oh, because I've just sat the phone on top of that. Sorry about that. Right, you put that down on there. Let's get that over there. And let's have a look at what we're going to do next week. Because, oh, that's great, isn't it? That wasn't the best thing I've ever done. Next week, we are back. Friday night, 9 o'clock. Same time, same place. If you want more Notion, because you seem very excited by Notion, and I'm not surprised. It totally rings my bell, I can assure you. Makes the difference between getting something done and not getting something done. Or spending 3 weeks inside OmniFocus, forcing it to get something done, and then it doesn't get done anyway. So, Carl, have you heard MacBites? If you have heard MacBites... He has. Ah, good. Then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's going to be the mother and father of all shopping with Elaine's. It wasn't a good experience. But shall we say by New Year's Eve, they came off the worst of it. That poor Spanish woman who got the brunt of my opinion. So, hopefully you will be able to be with us next week. You can find out when we're going live, etc. via the MacBites mail. You can also hit subscribe on YouTube. And there's a bell, apparently, and you can hit the bell and then you'll get reminded of when we're going live. So that's one thing that you can do. But we do send mails out. And the plan next week is, I've got the right word, fluid.
Fluid?
Yeah, I haven't got a clue. Fluid. No, we're
like drink?
No. No, it's like flexible.
Ah.
There will be an Affinity Adventure of the Week, and Carl is ahead of the list with his pencil iPad thing. So, yes. So there will definitely be something Affinity-ish. If you would like to see more on Notion, I've got pages and pages and pages of stuff in Notion. Lots and lots of it. As I say, I've only been using it 5-6 weeks, but the stuff I've built is, well, if I was building it a few years ago in Access, would have taken years. But you saw the speed tonight just throwing stuff together. So if you want more Notion, let me know. I intend to do a video walkthrough of that, but I won't just cut the bit out of here. I'll do it properly with bumpers and all kinds of stuff. So you'll be able to see that in more detail if you want. Then we'll have an unboxing of the week. And right now, I don't know what the unboxing is. I have no idea. Yesterday, I didn't have an unboxing. So I bought something. bought the watch straps.
Bought the box.
Well, yeah, they said they did send the box, didn't they? Yes, they did.
If your phone comes back, that could be the unboxing.
Well, they said 5 to 7 days, so it depends on when I get it there. And obviously, if it involves Royal Mail, that could be whenever. So you never know, do you?
No.
I do owe you more Notion. Patrick wants more Notion. Absolutely, we can do that. I do owe you a video, though, guys. Last week's unboxing was that battery thing to start the car. And it's been so dark and so wet, if I took a phone out to video it, it would have looked like the Blair Witch Project. So we're hoping for better weather this week. Car's still not moved in a week, so I'm sure I'll need it. So we'll pencil that in for next week as well. Patrick, let me know anything specific in Notion, because you can pretty much do virtually anything in Notion, can't you? As you saw tonight. So if there's anything specific, let me know. I intend to be building sort of a replacement for OmniFocus. So a table which can be pivoted and all sorts of stuff for tasks. And then I intend to filter it So to filter just the tasks I'm interested in, either by day and embedding that on a page, or by status, something like that. And Carl can suffer more Notion too. I could embed images in it, Carl. I could show you how to make a gallery in Notion. There we go. So you edit your photos, then you put the best ones in Notion. That would work. And we did that. We did that for real, which is one of the things that I did. And I said to Mike, this is just perfect. It's like having the biggest, best Filofax on the planet that just works. What I did it with, we showed some photos from our Christmas trail, the light trail at Dunham Massey. And I said, I need to know which ones I showed. And the first ones we just showed in the quick view. We didn't put them anywhere to take them full screen, and I wouldn't have known which ones they were. And I built this gallery so we would know. So you could do that, definitely. There's a good one. Make a note, Mike. Put it in Notion to remind me. When I go in Notes, that's meta. But yeah, it would work. So yeah, you can absolutely take Notion to whatever level you like. It is totally amazing. So if you want more of that, let me know. And other than that, hopefully Graham will be able to be back with us next week. We're hoping his mum's better. And who knows? There may be a MacBites by then. It depends how much of a fight the Christmas tree puts up, really, doesn't it? Because if the tree fights back, that's pretty much recording time gone. But if it doesn't, if the tree complies, you never know. It might see the light of day. But we've committed to it seeing the light of day within the next 2 weeks because the burn down chart's running.
True.
So it'll have to happen sooner or later. It's just whether it'll be sooner or whether it will be later. But I think for tonight, that's it, unless you've got any questions. So it is traditional to go and have something to eat, which tonight is... We're back to healthy fruit, aren't we? That's so sad after those mince pies. But it's healthy fruit tonight. Possibly with some cashew nuts. Possibly. If you're going to be generous with me. I think you should after the linseeds. I suffered the linseeds with breakfast. Yes, breakfast was porridge, linseeds and sultanas. And I made it myself, give or take.
No, you didn't. I left you instructions.
Which I didn't even get up early enough to see. No. But it was sort of 11's snack, wasn't it?
Carl wants to know about the second tree.
What about the second tree? Oh, well, yeah, the second tree could put on more of a fight than the first.
You take one down, I'll take the other.
Do you want the one with the 3,000 lights on?
No, we better do it together, actually.
It's impossible to do it one at a time. And Carl, of course, it's Christmas. We have on one tree one set of lights that's about 1,200 lights. Those tiny little pinprick things. But on the other tree, we've got our old lights. And our old lights are like a set of 20. And I think we put on 12 sets. We checked every bulb before we put them on. And now we've got a dead one. So before we move, that bulb's got to be changed. So when we open them next year, half of them can be dead again.
Yes. They die in the loft.
But what we're going to do, and I'm going to do this, and I think it would work brilliantly for putting a gallery in. We'll take photos of the tree and what balls are on it and what tinsel are on it for next year. And I'll put it in Notion on the December page.
Carl's off to have a full English. I hope that's tomorrow morning, Carl, and not now.
Ooh, who knows? Quite fancy that. No. We've got full English tomorrow.
Yes.
Tomorrow's
I'm
meal.
about to get it out of the freezer.
Tomorrow's meal is bacon and sausage, special sausage, berry sausage.
And eggs.
And eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly, nothing else. But those three, that'll take us halfway there. So it's fresh fruit tonight and then a blowout tomorrow.
Yeah.
That'll work. That'll work for me. Okay. That's why the lights dimmed in Wales. Oh, yes. When we head to Wales, we will warn you. Because obviously with Mike in tow, we'll have to, won't we? In fact, Mike mentioned going to Wales in February 2020, didn't you? Planning in hand. Have you totally forgotten?
Yeah. Oh, no.
North Wales, you said.
Yes,
North Wales, you said.
I did.
Yes, you did. So we will warn you and put the hospitals on standby. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you need to get onto the MacBites mail because that's where we put the... I didn't show you the mail thing. That you need to see the mail thing. Remind me next week. Go make a note. So galleries, mail manager. Galleries, mail manager. Go do it, Mike. Galleries, mail. Yes, mail managers. Yes, we put the pictures of said wound in the MacBites mail. So you need to see that. Big hole. Big hole, shrapnel, next to a penny. That was what we did. Okay, then. Good night. You are very, very welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Keep sending your questions in. Keep giving us ideas. And that's what we'll cover, we promise. But for now, it's good night from me. Galleries and mail manager. It's good night from me, prompt.
Good night from me.
Well done, Mike. Yay. And it's good night from him. And we will both see you next time.